Well, a ban on electronics in aircraft cabins will be hotly debated when EU and US security officials meet in Brussels. In March, the US and UK announced passengers would be forced to pack any device larger than a smartphone into checked baggage. The rule applied only for flights from 10 airports in Muslim-majority countries. But the US is now considering extending that list to include flights from Europe. Professor David Lawe is a terrorism expert and security analyst at Liverpool John Moores University. He joins us now live. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot of people complained when this laptop ban was introduced. So I'd like to ask you if, first of all, you thought it was necessary in the first place, and should it be expanded?
Well, I do question if it is totally necessary. All I can guess really is there some form of information that there is a higher risk? But you know, you have to look at the countries who have been targeted, and on top of that, the airlines themselves, highly reliable, globally branded airlines. You know, you look at the likes of Emirates and Etihad, Turkish Airlines, all well reliable, all predominantly used by business people. And you look at today's society, in the global economy and the global industrialization that we have, people work while they're on these flights. There's a necessity for them to do that. And I think, you know, unless there is absolute paramount evidence that there is a very high risk, I really can't see the way forward. I think the way forward, and certainly when you start to look at Europe itself and EU member states, and you look at what the US and the UK has done, although the UK is still a member state of the EU, there's the passenger name record data directive came out last year. I think that's a way forward. Advanced passenger list given before a flight, identifying individuals who could be a risk. I think that's the way it should be dealt with, rather than punishing the millions of passengers who will be using these flights, traveling to countries like Saudi, Turkey, the UAE and so on, who are friends and allies of the UK and the US, certainly in the fight against groups like Daesh and Al-Qaeda.
Right.
I just find it a bit of a paradox.
And now they're actually looking at expanding the ban to include certain EU countries and airports there. But do you think the EU is actually on message with these measures? I'm not quite sure we're getting all the information as to why this was seen initially as a threat, having laptops on the plane.
Yeah, I think what they're looking at, I mean, there has been that issue that was about over 12 months ago, to bring your electronic equipment into the cabin area of the aircraft, as long as it was fully charged. And I think what there was information that the area where the batteries are is where some terrorist groups have tried to engineer some form of explosive within that area. So if you want to take it into the cabin area, your electronic device had to be fully charged. But I'm like you, I do seriously question this. I mean, I know there's issues over data protection, as regards the EU. The EU has some stringent laws, the most stringent laws globally on data protection rights to privacy. And I understand that, and I think that's necessary. You've got to get the balance between security and protecting our data. But the equipment itself, I'm just wondering if this is a sledgehammer to crack a nut, to be honest.
Okay. David Lawe, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us live from Liverpool.